I mean, the PXG needs to take a bow, doesn't it?
Totally.
First time around, second time around. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So as we run through the best of for the 2024 season, Michael, today we're land on the wedges category.
Love it.
You're a wedge man?
I am a wedge man. There's a lot of good wedges out there on the market. This will be interesting to see who reigns supreme, but they're all very good. Yeah,
I think everyone's talking the same language when it comes to wedge design. Obviously, the face has obviously been of utmost importance for the longest time. Now we're seeing texture and groove technology. We're seeing CG location, being very particular about the loft on the wedge itself, or the CG of the wedge itself for that particular loft, right? Lower, deeper gap wedges and pitch wedges, higher and sort of forward if they can on the more lofted wedges. We're going to dive into 6 of those wedges today. We've got Callaway, TaylorMade, Ping, Titleist, PXG, and Cleveland.
Nicely done.
Thank you. So that's kind of our pick of the bunch in here. There are some other wedges that we have had over the year that have kind of cycled through. We've had some Mizuno wedges, but they have actually gone from the demo makes. I think we're awaiting some new stuff. So yeah, from these 6, I think you're throwing a blanket over 90% of really what people are looking at out there.
100%. We're doing 50-yard shots and full shots.
Yeah, I think let's go 70, 75. Since we've got 56-degree wedges, I didn't want to cater too much. We normally do the 50-yard shot with the 60, the lob wedge. So we'll go 75, and then we'll hit some fulls and see what we can see as a difference between them.
Cool.
All right? All right, Michael, we're going to run through this in alphabetical order.
Love it.
We've spec'd these out at standard loft at 56, 1 degree upright, which is pretty much my spec on a sand wedge. Titleist Pro V1. Obviously, there is a part of this that will be, the variable will be the sole.
Right.
We don't have every wedge, or every wedge company doesn't always make a S grind at 10 degrees of bounce. They all have their own version of it. So we're running as close as we can to the same sole. The reality is when we add more forward shaft lean, which we typically do on the full swings, we aren't using as much of the sole of that club anyway. We're using a little bit more of the leading edge of the club as we add forward shaft lean, guys. We are not using the full variety. So I think it should be very, very similar in terms of the sole.
Okay.
That felt nice.
Yeah, good strike. From our earlier findings this year with this wedge, we found this one to be particularly the spinniest that we've tested in a long time.
Yeah, was it? I don't remember that, but
I think we were shocked, especially in the 60 degrees, of how spinny they were.
Right. I remember, and I just got it there on that last one, how good they feel. They feel soft.
Yeah.
Which I really, really like about these guys. Nice.
Yeah, nicely done. That's a better strike. Wow.
All right, Mikey boy, RTX 6.
Yeah. Popular one for us in the fitting bay.
Yeah. No, this looks good. Definitely the most rounded leading edge, I think, of all the ones that we're going to test today. I know that's a preference for some. Their strike. All right, Mikey, on to the ping.
Into the ping.
Ye of 1,000 grooves.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot of
thing's
grooves on that
unbelievable.
thing. Looks good though, like an old classic wedge.
Let's see.
Sounded good.
Felt fantastic.
Yeah, it sounded good.
Soft, isn't it?
Mm. These strikes sound good. It feels good.
Yeah.
That's a nice strike. Okay, Fries, into PXG Sugar Daddy III's. Nice wedge. We were fit into what? Sugar Daddy? Where we fit into these
The
wedges?
version before.
Yeah. Good wedge.
Definitely. Yeah, no, these are really nice. I've always liked the shape. I think we've talked about that with the PXG wedges. I think just it's kind of always been a little bit more of a compact shape, well, kind of teardrop shape. I like the milling lines on it.
Yeah.
Really, really nice. A little bit more sort of placement of focus on the placement of CG now, certainly kind of up a little bit higher. So yeah, no, this is an underrated one, I think. Chance. Had a chance, Michael. It was nice through the strike, this one.
So good. Wedge sounds so good too. Strike's better.
3 times forged.
Easy. Easy game. Lovely.
Cute.
Hey, Fries, TaylorMade Milled Grind 4. You played these a little bit this year?
No.
Yeah, you did.
Last year.
Oh, was that last year?
Yeah, probably kind of fall of last year got some of these.
All right.
Been a while. No, I haven't deviated from the SM10s at all this year. Not a good looking wedge, but interesting coming off of the PXG, which has quite a compact shape. This looks quite big. It's you know, I think if you get handed something, go, that's nice. Then maybe look at the PXG, go, the PXG's small.
Right.
Your reaction is always against whatever came before. So, but no, good looking wedge. Not the T-dub grind. This is just the standard SB.
Yeah.
SB12. Let's see. Base is rusted quite a lot in this one. Interesting to see how consistent the spin is. Oh, good.
Really
Spinny,
good strike.
Mikey. 9,600. That's way higher than what we've been seeing. The sole on this one just, like the amount the sole's grabbing.
Oh, really? Wants to
So
dig?
different. I felt it in the first one and I felt it on that one a lot. Spinny. 98.
Sounded like a better strike. Hey, Fries, Old Faithful, a classic.
Yeah, last but not least, it kind of feels like a hierarchy meeting, this. In that everyone else has their say and SM10 gets to go last.
No, I don't mind.
You listen to what's going on in the room. I'm like, okay, I'll tell you what's up.
Yeah. Quiet, please.
That's what this feels like. Because at the end of the day, the market share for Vokey, like over everything else, we have seen it historically in the stores. Is it 8 out of 10 would leave the door and be a Titleist?
Easily.
Easily.
I mean, at the time, most bounces, most grinds, most options, finishes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and
It's
popular.
beautiful.
People
you know,
ask for it too.
Yeah. I do think subtly the shape has gotten better over the last few years. It's always been nice, but I do think it's gotten better. This is just classic.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do it. There's a big difference between a couple of these wedges that are, I would call, very consistent on spin. And then there's some that are really high in spin but have a air of jumping about.
Right.
I think that seems to be the trade-off. If you want to engineer lots of spin into your wedge, you've got to be okay with standard deviation
Being larger.
widening. And then if not, you can maybe calm it down a little bit, but you know that then you can close the delta.
Smart.
Which is, I think, probably the way it should be.
Yeah.
More spin's not necessarily better.
Right. More consistent spin.
I think so. Like that one with the TaylorMade is 9,600.
Yeah.
Little open face, a little more dynamic loft.
It's interesting on some of the wedges, especially the TaylorMade one, it looked like it wanted to float up a bit more on you. Whereas this one looks like you can, I don't know, hit it in a window you want to, drive that wedge into. That sounded nice. Okay, Fraz, into the full shots. Back to the start, round 2 with Opus. Thoughts on the 75-yard shots?
Well, just, yeah, like we chatted about once we saw, I think, the TaylorMade spin window increase, as did the variability. It'll be interesting to see if the trend continues that way, if there's a higher degree of spin on full shots. You definitely don't want that in full shots. I'm kind of on board for having it on partial shots if there's a window of having that, because we all know the closer you get to green and short-sided, that's when you need more spin, and that's when it's harder to create spin. The really elite players can do it, but for the rest of us, we can't generally. So, yeah, this will be interesting. About 100 yards should be about the sweet spot, Mikey.
Okay. Decent strike.
I mean, they feel better than they look on there, that's for sure. Weird how that just sat in.
Okay, Fraz, into RTX 6 now. Again, earlier on the shorter shots, found this a little bit clickier.
A bit firmer. Definitely spinnier between this and the TaylorMade. Tons of spin off those two.
Yeah.
Let's see if it's the same. Good.
Oof. Good. Strike.
That one felt solid.
87, 87. Strike. Thoughts on the RTX 6?
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely fine.
I think sounded better on a full swing.
Did it?
Yeah, from back here anyways.
Yeah, no, it felt like it performed pretty well. Still has that high spinny one in it. There's a couple that snuck into the mid 11,000s, which is definitely on the high side. Let's see what the ping's got. Open face. little open face, but felt good.
Yeah. Better strike.
That one, I'd say that was more guilty of being skinny.
Yeah. Okay. Good showing for the pings.
The ping's a little sleeper.
Yeah.
You know, I can't help but while hitting them think about the glide range that came before, and as much as that's a movement towards more of a blade, it has more tech than you would think there, and I really think it shows.
Yeah.
I think once we look at the recap, I think we'll really see how well the ping has been engineered. It might have trade-offs and sacrifices and some feel and maybe even slightly some looks, not for the ping user.
Right.
The ping diehard and connoisseurs died and went to heaven with a wedge that looks like that. But I think if you're trying to pull someone out of a Vokey or something, you know, of more of a classic shape, you might have a little bit of a hard time, but you could convince them with the numbers.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe. All right, PXG. Good.
Good strike. Lovely.
I mean, the PXG needs to take a bow, doesn't it?
Totally. Top
First time around, second time around.
Great strike. Hey, for us, PXG, a little bit of a showstopper there. It was really nice. Into TaylorMade Milled Grind 4.
Okay.
That's a good swing. A bit of spin on that. 11-8.
11-8.
A lot. Four. Spinny, spinny.
Benny.
Strike.
Okay, last but not least, Michael.
Yeah, back in SM10. Anything stand out so far in the full swings for you?
Yeah, I mean, some, to be honest, similar trends.
Yeah.
PXG was automatic, spinny with the Cleveland and the TaylorMade. TaylorMade shredded the golf ball.
Yeah.
We had one with the TaylorMade that we didn't clean the grooves between shots and it skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Then we started a heated debate as to whether people actually clean their grooves in every shot. Apparently everyone does. I still debate that.
Leave it in the comments if you clean
If
your...
you clean your grooves. Do you clean your grooves on every single shot? Every shot?
When playing on the golf course.
Like you're given... Maybe, I think...
When I caddy for you, they're nice and spick and span.
You two might be the exception, not the rule. Let's see, last but not least. Felt so good. Yeah.
Oh.
I just felt exactly what a wedge should feel like.
Felt like home.
Just perfect. Like you just, exactly what you'd want it to look like and do. 30 degrees of launch, 10.5 on the spin, 10.6. We've talked about club and ball speed and the relationship 1 and 1. 84, 85, it's right there.
Autopilot.
I mean, you'll have seen from some of them, like some of them have felt like hard work. Like I'm putting a lot in to get it out and stuff like that. Does not feel like that.
No.
With a couple of them. So easy.
Showing off now.
Need more. The observer's analysis.
I think like what we mentioned when you were testing the standard deviation on these short shots, the tighter, maybe the better, more consistent on all wedge shots. There's some that definitely fluctuate a little bit more. Not crazy. TaylorMade jumped a little bit, but definitely out of the Vokey and the Ping and the PXG super tight standard deviation.
Yeah, it is interesting that you've got kind of 4 there, 86, 36, 86, 53, 87, 22, 86, 12. And then you've got 2 that are completely, you know, outliers to that with the largest standard deviation.
Yeah.
All carrying pretty much the same.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of something to be said for that. Although I said as we started the set of full shots, I maybe wouldn't mind knowing that I've got a little bit more in my locker.
Okay.
So, you know, those 2, I wouldn't discard that as something that was a real sort of, you know, downside to that particular wedge. Let's go into the full shot patterns. All righty. I mean, I would say this should start to expose. This does start to expose a little bit more of my sort of swing tendency, which is to hit a wedge short.
Okay.
There was definitely ones I had a hard time with. I felt like I was hitting, certainly the first few, I felt like I was swinging hard. Let's see if that was the case. Yeah, and around those 2, I felt like I was swinging hard. Maybe not with the Callaway, but you could tell that I was getting really comfortable in and around this one, especially PXG and Vokey, which is interesting. The 2 sort of lowest amounts of input speed, but it was hitting sort of the number really, really consistently. So all pretty much carrying the right number, launch angle. Yeah, interesting. You can see the ping was a little bit to the right, but it had, you know, a nice flat launch angle. Good with the PXG. Interestingly, pretty low with the Titleist, with the TaylorMade with the most amount of spin. Yeah, 11,441. Quite a difference. So about the same difference as we saw in the partial.
Interesting.
About 600. Launch angle, pretty good. Yeah, just a little high with the first couple. I could maybe take ownership of that, to be honest, with the delivery. But standard deviation, again, I go back to it, guys, all the time. Give me consistency over a sort of spike in performance. I don't care if that's ball speed. I don't care if that's launch spin, whatever it may be. Don't give me spikes.
Right.
Just like keep it as sort of flatlining performance as we possibly can get. Every time with the TaylorMade, isn't that interesting? Full shots as well. The more spin, the higher the range that we're going to see. Keep that spin a little bit, you know, lower, and you'll actually
more
shrink.
Control. Interesting.
That's a new one for the locker, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that standard deviation, making it as tight as possible. Like, I can't judge if my wedge is going to spike one shot versus the next.
Yeah,
and we're both decent players. So when you're, but if you're out on the golf course trying to, you know, judge a shot, you don't want something that's going to, you know, get a flyer or not do what it's supposed to do. So interesting.
There's a lot to be said, and I think when we're in fits, we're sort of gauging body language of the player, and we're seeing how easy they can perform the task. Titleist, PXG, both of them.
Yeah,
I think there has to be podium finishes for those 2.
I agree.
The other one I would stick up on the podium alongside, really torn between Ping and Callaway.
Yeah. Both great wedges. I'm
great
a
wedges.
Big fan of Callaway Opus this year. In the fitting bay, it's done really well. So
yeah, I'm happy enough to give out 2 bronze medals. I'd give a silver medal to PXG, and I'd give the gold to the Titleist.
Love it.
That's just standard deviation, how the test went, ease of use, all of that. Fair enough.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely. Okay, guys. Rounding up these best of series is always difficult because there's a user. I don't want to call it user bias. There might be a user bias. Generally, there's you've got to factor in a user bias, but you know we test all of these clubs all the time. You know, and we sort of are prepared to be surprised as well.
Definitely.
And I don't think anyone's surprised by the Titleist, but I think a lot of people will be surprised with the PXG sort of being in there like that.
Yeah, I mean, we work with these products day in and day out in fits, and you sometimes forget the performance out of them because you're not testing them all the time. But a test like this, yeah, PXG, I'm sure will be pulled in a couple fits this week.
I think so. It's really, really clean. Okay, guys, let us know what you think of the test itself and what has been your wedge of choice for you. Did you change your wedges this year, and has it made an improvement, or has it kind of maybe been a surprise that your wedges haven't performed quite as well as you would have hoped? Is there something in there that's holding you back with your wedge game? We know how important and how many times we hit our wedges, especially I think the sand wedge. That's the one that I think if you're of a similar speed to me and you're in and around that, call it 100 yards and in, I think 100 to 60 yards, I find myself in there a lot. And that's sand wedge for me all day.
Yeah, good point.
Okay, let us know in the comments below what you think, guys. Best of series here, wrapping up the wedges. Stay tuned for more, and we'll see you again soon.